Welcome to Battle Streams of Middle-earth and welcome back to Damian's Hobby Vlogs. This time we're going to be taking a look at Ardacon 2025. The highs, the lows and everything that went on at that wonderful event. So if you want to hear a breakdown of my adventures with the Shire Ardacon, come on in.
One ring to rule them all, one ring to frighten them, one ring to break them all, and let the darkness bind them.
So yes indeed, welcome to Battle Streams of Middle-earth and welcome to Damian's hobby vlog number, don't know, sometime in the future. I am a long way behind in my hobby vlogs now, but I don't know which one this is going to be, so I'm not even going to guess, so apologies for that. If you're new to Battle Streams of Middle-earth, please hit that subscribe button. This is our channel dedicated to helping the communities of the world clear their backlogs. We do that in a couple of ways. The first is that every few weeks we take a live stream where we take a look at this dear lady, the DXD Partwork Battle Games in Middle-earth. We've been working our way through this for nearly 6 years now. We're on issue 81 now. If you go and have a look at our live tab, we've got like 120 episodes already. And what we do is every Friday or Saturday, every few weeks, we hang out together as a global community and we go through an issue of this and we paint the model that came with it. And we all just hang out and paint together to help chill out, to help our mental health, come together as a community and just paint something purely for the fun of it. It's loads and loads of fun. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, go and check out the next live stream, because talking of cups of tea, the point of Battle Streams of Middle-earth was to help you all clear your backlog. So as well as doing that, I'm also trying to clear my backlog throughout my life, to try and reduce that giant pile of opportunity. And I document on that here through these hobby vlogs, talking about the things I've been painting and the tournaments I go to get involved in the community and that sort of thing. And that's what this one is. This is going to be my Ardacon review. My last vlog was talking up my preparations for Ardacon, and this one is going to be going through it. There's no hobby in this. It's a hobby vlog with no hobby, but instead we'll be just chatting about Ardacon. I've got 9 games to go through. It's 3 days of hobby. It's going to be a big one. So get your paints out, grab a cup of tea, get ready to listen. Don't expect to see anything more visually exciting than this, although I will be putting pictures up throughout. But yeah, hopefully it'll be fun. So yeah, if that's your cup of tea, please join us. Tell your friends about Battle Streams of Middle-earth, click the subscribe button, and if you're interested in joining the Battle Streams community, there's a Patreon link down there. Ting, ting. So, Ardacon 2025, where were we? Well, in my last vlog, you saw me going through everything that I was going to be doing. The extra painting I did to finish off the last of my Hobbit warriors, which was really exciting to get those down. I think I've got about 98 Hobbit models painted, and that is nearly it. There's kind of probably one more vlog to come on Hobbits. I don't know, start of next year sometime, but we are getting there, and for now we're taking a pause from the Hobbit adventures for sure. So I painted all those, and I was basically talking up how I thought the Shire in the new edition were kind of the secret sauce that really, certainly at the time of recording, no one was talking about. And I thought maybe there was some good juice in there and I could have a play. So I may have gone through this in full detail in the last one, but for now I'm just going to run through my army. It's 700 points, and my army is Gandalf the Great on cart, leading 4 archers and 5 militia, Samwise Gamgee with Rosie Cotton, 4 archers and 4 militia, Farmer Maggot with 3 archers and 4 militia, Gaffer Gamgee and his wonderful flower pots with 3 archers and 4 militia, Bilbo Baggins with the Mithril Coat and Sting, Lobelia Sackville Baggins, 4 archers and 4 Hobbit militia, Will Whitfoot and 12 sheriffs. So that was my army. That's 699 points, 62 models, and a lot of fun, a lot of kind of cool kooky bits. That's what I would be taking to singles. And as ever, I would be going to singles with my brothers in arm, the Wanderers in the Wild. And I've realised, and I'm not going to start re-recording this now because I'm just not into it. I should be wearing my 2025 polo, and I haven't got it on, and I can only apologise to my wandering brethren. But yeah, my brothers in the Wanderers in the Wild, we play as a team every year, and we've been going to Ardacon since the first one, and this year was no different. We had 9 Wanderers, which is the maximum you can have in a team, all going along to the event, and I was so excited. Ardacon is one of my 2 favourite events of the year. I can never decide. It's either Throne of Skulls singles or it's Ardacon. It's Throne of Skulls singles for the my own personal hobby that's always where I put the most effort and the most energy and do the coolest hobby stuff of the year. Ardacon is the highlight of the year for community for me. I get to hang out, irrelevant who else goes, I get to hang out with like 9 in this case of my closest hobby friends, and we just have an absolute blast. If you want to know more about Ardacon in general, go out and check out Harry Parkill's Entmoot podcast. He's just done 3 episodes about Ardacon, which is super cool, and you can go and get it. But it's a massive tournament that's been running for 10 years now. It's going to be the 10th, because he missed one for COVID. It's going to be the 10th Ardacon, or the anniversary. No, sorry, it's the 10th anniversary of it next year, but it's not the 10th Ardacon because he missed one for COVID. So we're trying to make it a big deal for 2026. So if you're ever wondered if you should go take the punt, try and get there this year. It's a really awesome event with this kind of unique aspect of the team, where you know up to 9 people playing as part of the same team, and you can't play each other in the tournament at all. So there's a real sense of camaraderie there, because you can't beat your opponents, or you can't beat your friends. Basically, it's really good, and that's a massive highlight for me. And also for me, the real highlight, the joy, is that I get to go away for effectively a stag do. It's a hobby stag do, is how I always think of this. I go from the Thursday we leave to. And then we come back on the Monday. So I have kind of 3 full hobby days away, which I don't get anywhere else, as well as kind of 2 half days. So that's super fun. So this is my story basically, and I'm very excited to say that this year my Ardacon journey actually began on, as ever, I'm going to be using my phone to jog my memory with photos and stuff. But I'll also say, compared to recent vlogs you might have seen, this is the closest to the event I have recorded an event review all year. So my Throne of Skulls event review from last year, 2024 event review, was recorded about a week after Throne of Skulls. But everything after it, the league finale, the GP, and even doubles, have all been recorded a long time afterwards as I was catching up on my hobby vlogs. Whereas this one, Ardacon, was only a few weeks ago. I'm not up to date with the editing, but I'm up to date with the recording at least, so that's something. So I should have vaguely good memories of these. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing. But yeah, my Ardacon experience got to start a day early this year, because the wonderful Mark Stone, who's also one of the Wanderers, he came over Wednesday night from Guernsey, so he popped over. And unlike the last time Mark came over before a tournament that you will have seen documented in previous vlogs, I didn't have a load of work for him to do. There was no extra hobbying to be done. It was awesome. So we had a curry. We had a curry together. It was wonderful. It was joyous, and it was just a really nice chance to hang out with a mate and kind of catch up on everything that had been going on, and kind of have that the night before the event, I guess. It was really good fun. And then the next day we headed off. We headed off about 1 o'clock in the end. We got delayed by a number of things. My family were packing up to go to the Isle of Wight as well, so I had to help them get ready. But then me and Mark packed up the car and headed off to pick up the wonderful Mr. Tom Harrison, the fellow wanderer in the wild. And so we got to his about 3:30, and then headed up to Manchester from there. And I think it was about kind of 3 hours to get up from there or something. But we had a pretty decent journey. It was cool. And then you get to there, and I will say normally, it's probably worth saying last year, the Ardacon numbers were down last year. There was, I say only, it's still massive, but there was only about 130 people or something like that. And it has been in the past like 250, something like that. So again, it was interesting getting there. And the Thursday night, I always really look forward to that. The bar's always kind of full, and there's this real sense of anticipation, and you're seeing people you haven't seen in a year, and then seeing people you've never met before, but you might know through kind of online channels and stuff like that. And there's a real community aspect to it. We got there on Thursday, about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. There was no one there. was really surprised. It was like the gaming had finished for the day. I don't think many people were staying in the hotel this year. I don't particularly know why. Lower prices next year, so maybe there'll be more then. But I just remember getting in and going, oh, well, this is a bit quiet. And it was perfectly nice, but there's probably about 20 people or something. So we had a very nice evening. We had dinner, we had food, we hung out together, we met up with some fellow wanderers who were arriving that night, catching up and stuff. Seeing old friends, making new friends, had a lovely time, and then headed to bed on Thursday night at, I think, probably for the only time of the weekend, a relatively early time. So then we woke on Friday, and one of the things we're doing, as ever at Ardacon, is setting up our SBG stand. Ardacon over the years has had a variety, I'll say, of different con-ness to it in terms of the convention. There have been loads and loads of vendors and other things to see. In the last couple of years since COVID, it's pretty much just been us with our magazine stand and Matt. But this year there was more. There was, I want to say it's Charles Sims Fantasy 3D Terrain, I think it was one called. World Champion was there as well from 7th City Collectibles with a sales stand, which was cool. Brushstroke was there. Which was great. So there were more stands and things to see. So that was cool. But as ever, we were taking our magazine along. It's always a big event for us. I will say, didn't have a new issue. This is issue 17, which we launched in May. And for the first time ever at Ardacon, we didn't have a new issue to launch. Which was because, I'll say you heard it here first, but you didn't hear it here first because you actually heard it at the back of issue 17 in May. Our next issue 18, is going to be about the new edition, Matt War, the Rohirrim. We couldn't go past without celebrating all those wonderful new models and all the rules and all the hobby potential and all that kind of stuff. And we would normally do a photo shoot for that one in about May or June, and we needed Hera at the very least, and Hera wasn't out. And then we also didn't have Olwyn Leaf, Freylaf, Helm, and we figured out we could have got away without those. But when there was then a supplement announced as well, which was coming out, we were just like, oh, look, we'll just need all this stuff, we'll wait. And so we just weren't able to do it in time for Ardacon. So it was fine because we actually went, you know what, let's have the summer off, let's just not do one. So again, at the time of recording, that stuff has been announced, but it's not out. I'm hoping it'll be out soon. We'll then get those things, we'll get those models painted up and we'll do it. And so I imagine issue 18 is now going to come out either maybe at Will's GP in February or maybe at Seven Stones, depending on when we can get it done. But yeah, so no new issue, but of course we did have issue 17, which came out in May, which loads of people at Ardacon wouldn't have had access to before. So we had that one. So we set up our stand, had our cabinet of kind of cool models as ever that have been in the magazine, and we did have some of Rick Fry's Rohan scenery that we brought along to display and stuff. So it was cool. It's cool to have the stand there and have people coming and chatting about everything. So we set all that up on the Friday morning, and then Friday is, to my mind, one of the highlights of the Ardacon experience because I get to play doubles with Mr. Tom Harrison. Everyone always thinks us as a team through things like, you know, Seven Stones, the Planetary, the magazine, all that. But this is the only event of the year where we play doubles together. We played doubles at Nova in like 2015 and 2016, and people always seem to assume that we always play doubles together, but we don't. At Warhammer World Doubles, I always play with Trokey. Tom often plays with his mate Chris when he can make those events. But yeah, this is our only chance to do it, and we always have an absolute blast. It's just, I always remember it being so much fun, and it's always so much more fun. And we never try and compete. We've had some glorious success. We've won the one-day doubles before. We've come bottom of the one-day doubles before, and we've won most sporting at the one-day doubles for the last 2 years. So we've kind of completed Ardacon doubles. It's always such a good laugh. We never try particularly like hard or anything. We just take something that is different and that we'll enjoy. And so this year we decided to take Defenders of the Hornburg to this, which is super cool. Tom's been painting up the Rohan models for the upcoming magazine, so he was keen to try those out. And because again of the missing heroes, Defenders of the Hornburg was far more achievable than Defenders of Edoras. And so he took, I haven't actually got his army list here, but it was something like Hera, Bride of Death, a captain on foot, and 17 Warriors of Rohan, something like that. It was 350 points each, so it's about that. And then I said I would paint Helm, and I think Helm's still out. Here it is. Oh. I painted up Helm Hammerhand, Wraith of the Hornburg, which is an awesome model. And I was like, yeah, I'll paint that up as a sort of just a one-off project. I'm not painting any kind of new Rohan or anything, but I was like, yeah, I'll do him. He's fun. So I painted up him up, and then I took the cavalry contingent, which is a captain of Rohan on horse, 6 riders of Rohan with 2 with throwing spear, something like that. And then I also got a warrior of Rohan into my army because of the points. So the argument was, what we were doing was we're using all the new models that we could. We didn't have any new riders of Rohan, so we could only use the old ones for me. So Tom had an entirely new army, and I had the old bit basically that I already had painted up. So it was really good fun. I was excited to use them. I hadn't used that army list. I think it's really fun. I love the scene in the film. I think the Wraith of the Hornburg scene is super cool. I love how it's enhanced the lore as well. It's if you read the line in the book around, he fought like a snow troll, and that they were terrified that he was eating them alive. I think the film does a really interesting job if you look at it on how that story might have arrived. You know, what they did in that scene to where it's actually a snow troll eating all the bodies and terrorising them at the same time Helm is. You can see how over centuries the story gets passed down, and it's actually Helm fighting like a snow troll eating the bodies. I think it's really, really clever, really good storytelling. So I was keen to do that. So yes, we headed off to doubles. I do have the Tawny website up, so hopefully I'll have, if not solid memories of all the games, I should at least have records of everyone we played and the final results. And in our first game, I was absolutely delighted to be drawn against the wonderful B-Sime's own Mr. Michael Haskell and his partner Ben Smith. And the scenario is cornered, which I take great umbrage with because there's nothing cornered about it. It should be called centred. It's the one where half your army's in the middle and then you surround it. You're not cornered, you're centred. But who knows? But yeah, it was super, super cool. And we were playing Ugluk Scouts. I remember looking at this going, this is awful. They had about 60 models and we had about 30. And so when we cornered Ugluk, it was Ugluk's force in the middle. We didn't feel like we'd cornered them at all. I had like 7 riders on one side of the ring and Tom had about 20 Rohan guys here. And they weren't cornered, they looked absolutely fine. And then there was another horde of Uruks about to charge on and destroy us. So we didn't really rate our chances in any way, shape or form. Also, if anyone's wondering why we double captained here, because that's how we wasted points, it's because of the doubles format. That like Helm can't have warriors in his warband, so I had to have Helm and a captain to lead the riders, and Tom had to have Hera and a captain to lead because he had more than 15 guys. So if you were taking a 700 point army, I think you'd drop a captain and have a lot more guys. But I think just the way the warbands worked, I think we worked out we could have done something cleverer. I can't remember what it was. We could have just was it possibly just moving the riders into Tom's army and I had the captain on foot and some guys. That might have been better use, and then possibly Tom could have done it with his captain. I don't know, I can't remember. I think that we might have been able to get more out of it. But yeah, we essentially had a redundant captain. And yeah, seeing this army going to deploy, we're like, well, this is awful. And so our plan was just charge in, try and have a go. We're obviously, Ugluk's the main model in this in corner. Like, they get points for protecting Ugluk, we get points for killing him. So Ugluk, the whole game swings on Ugluk. And we were about to charge in, and basically what happened is he won the roll-off, and because of his super speedy scouts, he charged my riders. So I can't remember, I think it was Michael's army was coming to the rescue, and like charged into my riders. So my relief force, cavalry force, cornering the centres, got jumped on by the spare Uruks, and just got basically wiped out. I think over a course of about 2 turns, I lost nearly all of my riders. I don't think they ever got to charge. Helm also did something very silly. I feel like Helm was fighting 2 orcs and rolled 1-1-2 or something, so lost his first fight, so not particularly great. So I got absolutely massacred up the top, and I only had Helm left. He was my only model that I had left. And so we were like, well, this is going as badly as predicted. But unexpectedly, Tom's force, led by Hera, a captain, and about 20 guys on foot, was doing all right. He was doing all right against the Uruks. And he had made Ugluk basically leg it. Quite sensibly, Ugluk had kind of run away from that force to be protected. And if you imagine, there's basically Tom's army of Rohan warriors here, a whole bunch of Uruk-hai here, Ugluk's come up here, Helm is over here, and then there's another army of Uruk-hai between them, right? So Ugluk is protected from Helm by about 15 Uruk-hai or whatever. And then, as that was happening, we were like, right, so Ugluk's safe, I've been wiped out, we're never going to do anything. What I would happily describe as potentially the greatest thing that's ever happened on the table happened. Down to just Helm. Helm charged into an Orc captain and an Orc, and he called his free heroic combat. And I remember, he gets it free anyway, but because I think so if he charged, his rule is he gets free heroic combat. And Tom was like, why are you doing that? I was like, well, that's for free anyway. But do you know what? I don't think it was. I think I used a might point. That was it. That makes more sense. I think he didn't charge, but he was against an Orc captain and Orc, and I spent a point of might to call a heroic combat to try. And Tom was like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "Just trust me." I was like, "It will kill them both," and then he kills a hero and gets a special. Let me check. Why am I making this up? I love that the coolest thing I've ever done, and I can't remember what it was. So the Defenders of the Hornburg bonus is the one where they all run away from him at the end. If he kills a hero or monster, yes. So I was going for that. And then his own rule is if he charges, he causes terror and gets combat free. Yeah, so I think he'd been charged, but I wanted to activate. I knew he was fighting an Orc captain. I wanted to activate the rule at the end, where basically if he kills a hero or monster, every model has to take a courage test and move away from him. So I called a right combat. And I remember Tom going, "Don't do that." And then I punched them both to death. Super exciting. He's got mighty blow. So I won the fight. I think I just did one. I think maybe I wounded with all three. He's probably wounding on 4, strength 6. Incredible scenes. And he either punched the Orc captain who passed his fate, then punched him again, so it does 2 wounds, and then punched the Orc to death. Great success. Combat comes off, runs into 2 Orcs, punches them to death. Brilliant. So he's moved 6 inches, right? Brilliant scenes. I was like, oh, well done, Hell. This is what I want. Running around the world, punching around the world. And then, in the end phase, because he's killed a hero, every model within 3 inches of him, I think it is, has to take a courage test or move away. And loads of the Orcs failed, so they all moved out of the way, which opened up a gap to Ugluk, who was like, he'd been 12 inches away at the start because of his heroic combat, which no one would have called. He was then in charge range. He then, in the next turn, we used his horn. We used his once a game horn, which is -1 to your courage test. And then there was a heroic move roll off, and Helm had 1 might left, so he called it. I can't remember who called theirs, Grishnak or Ugluk or someone. Heroic move roll off goes to good, so Helm charges into Ugluk and an Orc, so he now causes terror, and he's going to get a free heroic combat. He then got. It then goes over to Ben and Michael's turn, and they swamp him, but they swamp him with less because he causes terror, and the horn gives him -1 courage. But he's still got traps. He's still against I don't know, probably 10 different models with spear supports or something. But I think he was fighting Ugluk and Grishnak, and then a bunch of chaff. Loads and loads of attacks. So effectively, if he loses the duel, he's dead. He hasn't got a chance. Ugluk, Helm is out of might. Ugluk and Grishnak both heroic strike from fight 5, I think they both are, and they both got to 7. They both only got 7, and Helm's fight 7. So we're tied fight despite 2 heroic strikes. I was like, okay. And then in the dice come 3 dice. I've never needed 6 more. Gets the 6. He gets a 6 with his million dice. The roll off comes and it goes to good. At which point Helm punches Ugluk to death. Incredible scenes. And I think he wounded all 3 times, so I'm pretty sure he maybe punched him to death, was saved with fate, and then punched him again, no fate left, dies. And then he punched Grishnak in the face, who had to stop it with fate. And then because I'd killed a hero, at the end of the turn, they all had to take a courage test, and they're all at once for courage, and they all legged it away from him. It was amazing. Like the number of things that have to come off in that is just ludicrous. You know, and it's a chain from the two turns, from wounding all 3 times before to kill the combat, to then kill the 2 orcs, to then have everyone move out of the way of him, to then win the heroic move roll off, to then get the 6, to win the heroic strike, and then to kill him. And of course, like, punched Ugluck to death with my only model left, which effectively won the game because he's such a huge VP swing. Meanwhile, Tom is screaming with joy watching as Helm's just doing the Lord's good work, punching around the world. It was brilliant, so much fun. And then, kind of wonderfully, the turn after that, he died, just like in the film. Really went out, did all the good punching work, and then he just got beaten by Chaff and killed. And he kind of went down in history. But then the game ended with a 12-4 win to us. Like, against all the odds, purely because Helm had gone punching around the world. It was glorious. So thank you to Michael and Ben. It was so much fun, and instantly, and I do mean instantly, Helm Hammerham Wraith of the Hornbird became my new favourite profile. He was so much fun to use, like so much fun, just ludicrous, like such a unique profile with unique rules and absolutely brilliant. So loved it. You can also see here, I think these are final positions. What's left of the battlefield. We were using the Erkenbrand model as our captain with shield because he's legacied now, so that was quite a cool use of that. And you can see here, this is the central objective, so you can see how the Rohan warriors are able to jump onto it. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in that army list they're dominant 2. I think there's also a guy underneath the building. I feel like we had 8 guys touching it. A dominant 2, so we got 16 models. So we also got the VPs for that, which was super cool. So yeah, it was brilliant fun. And Michael and Ben were great, and that has become my new favourite profile and potentially my favourite thing that's ever happened on the table. Absolutely glorious things. So then after that, we got to play Julian and it was Julian Oliver. So Julian Oliver Hammond, father-son team, and they had the army of Gundabad. So they had like Bolg was the leader. I don't think they had any monsters, but they had some warbats, loads of guys. So they're all fight 4, the Gundabad orcs. They're higher fight than us. And this scenario was taken hold, which is the you're deploying opposite corners, and there's an objective in the middle. So I think it's kind of like whole ground, but you're deploying opposite corners. So we just did our best. We ploughed into the middle with this one. Sadly, there were no glorious stories like in the last one, but we ploughed into the middle. We were very weary of Bolg. The basic plan for us, the dream in this army, is that you manage to get Hera and Helm Hammerhand onto the same target, and that's brilliant because then Helm is fight 7 and can kill almost everything, and you can't heroic strike against Hera. So together they're a team, but of course that means it's about 300 points, and the odds of you being able to get these 2 models onto one enemy model are very low, unless your opponents are quite foolish. And so we clashed into the middle and instantly started going to Oliver and Julian's way, as memory serves. And I believe in the end, I can't quite remember how it worked, but I think I baited Julian into charging Helm. I was just kind of like, they're both fight 7. I think they were with Bolg. I mean, they were both fight 7. They were both out of might, and I think I kind of left him in a position where he could, because I was like, well, he'll probably take the bait and go for it. He should do it, I suppose. But maybe we'll swing it. It'll be the same, but I'll have 1 less attack than him, and then if I do win, punch him around the world. Winning him on 5s, doubling up. I'd only need to do 2 to kill him, basically. So he did. He did the right thing. I think Oliver convinced him. Go on, charge in, do it. So he charged into Helm, and we had this mano a mano kind of showdown. And alas, Helm fell this time. He wasn't able to go over the line. I can't remember what it was. I think he just lost a duel or whatever. But he went down, and Bolg took him out, and that was that, and ended for us in a 15-1 loss. Always going to struggle. We were also realising that was our second objective scenario, you know, where dominant comes into it, and we were realising that I say we'd been foolish. We hadn't been foolish because we'd just chosen what we wanted. But you realise that Defenders of Hornburg, I think it's potentially a pretty good list, but it's made for infantry. Like cavalry just lose your bonuses. I think it's certainly they become dominant too, so they don't get that. I have a funny feeling that the rerolls of 1s is only on Rohan infantry models. Reroll friendly Rohan infantry warrior models. Reroll wound rolls of a natural 1 when making strikes. So that's a great special rule, and dominant 2 for Rohan infantry is brilliant as well. But obviously, if you have cavalry models, you rob yourself of that effectively. So again, it was another scenario where we're like, the cavalry aren't really helping us here. So we've had that. But it was a brilliant game. Jude and Oliver were wonderful, really really good fun, and but we got a loss. And so for our last game, we were absolutely delighted to be punted down the table and face Jay Chara and Camille Domansky, which was a joy. We've played them a couple of years ago when they were going competitively with their army of Lothlorien, Assault on Lothlorien, sorry, and we got absolutely spanked by them. But this year they had taken Dragons of the North. Dragons of the North is an interesting one. I've come up against it twice at recent events, and obviously it got a lot of press, and maybe I'm not particularly competitive minded anymore, but I'd won the first game against Dragons of the North, and I don't think they're as good as people are saying they are. They're good, and the Dragons are good now, but as a list, I don't think they're that good, but who knows? Let's find out. And so this one was, our final game was Total Conquest, which is, it's the Maelstrom deployment, and there's an objective in the middle. Oh yeah, so you start right in the middle. Oh, in the end there's 5 objectives basically, like around the board, a bit like Domination, but half 2 of the armies start in the middle. And so the armies that started in the middle were Camille's dragon and Tom's army of Hera. So that was always going to be a one-off. And then we were just interested to see where the other stuff came on. Jay's dragon came on first, and then I got to pick. And so I got to choose, and it was either deploy next to the dragon, win a heroic move off and charge it, or deploy miles away from the dragon and not be able to do anything on my terms. That was the debate, because basically because the other scrap was in the middle, there was no way I was getting to that scrap with my army before this dragon came as it intercepted me. So that might give Jay's dragon the chance to, I don't know, run around, breathe fire at me, shoot at me or whatever, before I ever got the chance to charge it. Or I could guarantee myself a 50-50 chance of charging it next turn. Now the risk of this was that in the shoot phase of turn 1, he would be able to breathe fire onto Helm, and there was nothing I could do about that. But I talked about it with Tom, and I was like, it's still the best risk, because otherwise he will get to breathe fire at Helm at some point, but I won't necessarily have the opportunity to charge him. I really like the idea of Helm punching a dragon to death. That seemed really achievable. Like, I think he only needs 5s to wound it. And obviously he's got Mighty Blow, so he'd do 2 wounds. So it's something I was like, he's actually got quite a good chance of even spiking a roll and one-shotting a dragon, which would be quite something. But I was quite excited about that. And I thought, all that needs to happen, I think the dragon hits on 3+. So he's going to shoot him, he might miss. Then he's got a wound Helm, which I think is a 3+. So again, he might fail to wound. And then even if he does wound, Helm's got a fate point. And I've got 3 might. So I can't die. I can't die to Dragonfire. And as long as I don't roll a 1 for the fate, I will still be able to heroic strike against him in the combat. So even if it goes really, really well for Jay in all the rolls, as long as I don't roll a 1 for Helm's fate, I'll be alright. So shoot phase comes around, he hits, he wounds, I roll a 1 for Helm's fate. Great scenes. Tom's furious with me. I'm laughing, Jay's laughing, Camille's laughing. Great fun all round. And so suddenly I was like, brilliant. So that now means I've got no way of being higher fight than the 4 attack dragon. Awesome. So very, very pleased, but at least, I don't know, at least Helm survived that, I suppose. And then a few scraps basically break out. Tom strikes to a tied fight value with Hera. He wins the roll off and does 8 wounds on it with all of his dudes and all of his rerolls. And I've got written down here he failed 1 fate, which means he passed 2 fate. So that means it's 6 wounds. I guess he stopped. And I think he's got 7 wounds or something. But he was left with 1 wound remaining, and he passed all of the survival rolls. So it was ludicrous. But at the end of this, Tom had given it everything, and the dragon was down to 1 wound and no fate, but was still alive. Against me, I can't remember who managed to charge, but in that first, I still had no option. You've got to charge in, hope he doesn't get rid of some might or whatever. I think in one turn, Jerry won the fight and put everything on Helm, but didn't kill him. I think he somehow, 4 dice to wound, needing 3s, maybe only got 1, 1, 5, 6 or something, so he did 2 wounds, so Helm survived, which is cool. And then next turn, Jerry ran back in and kind of killed Helm. So that was awful. In the middle, I know that Camille won a fight with his dragon, barged everyone out of the way, and went into Hera. I can't remember I feel like he didn't kill Hera though in that turn, and he survived. And I think this is me then. This is us. I say me. It was largely Tom because all of my models were dead. But we'd killed Camille's dragon, and then we're like, well, what do we do now? Right, because we have no mites, we've got no way of killing the dragon, and we've got no real way of trapping it because it's going to be able to fly away. And Jay was then, he's such a good player, and he was then in kind of, okay, we can still win this I think it's a game that ends at 25%, so if he kind of gets on the right objective because of his dominant, and he's able to kill a model with off one, if he stays around until we're nearly 25%, so we're broken, and then some of us run from objectives, and he's able to dragon fire someone off objective and kill someone off another objective. I think that was his idea, basically, that if we're broken and he can still shoot, he can effectively kind of claim 3 or 4 objectives in one turn and swing it. So it's really good fun. We then had this really kind of tactical sort of last, 20 minutes, half an hour or so, where Camille was just cheering on Jay, and he was going around just gradually killing off our warriors of Rohan. And you can see right at the end, have we got 3 left? You can see that at the very final turn, when we got to 25%, I think we've got 3 models left, holding 2 objectives or 3 objectives, and it just didn't work. At the end, he needed us to fail 1 more courage test, and it didn't happen. And so that was the end of that one, and we did manage to win, but it was close. We won 9-7, and I think if one of those Rohan warriors had failed his courage test, they would have won. But it was absolutely brilliant. It was such a good end to the day, such a joyous game with Jay and Camille. It was brilliant fun as ever, and so another win against those dragons of the north, with potentially an underpowered list. So see what I mean? They ain't so tough. So that was doubles. So we ended up on 2 wins, 1 loss. We had a great laugh. We were just laughing throughout. It was brilliant fun. I don't know if I didn't actually plan this. Let me see. Is there a leaderboard? There is a leaderboard. View the scoreboard. We finished 8th. So there were 16 teams playing in the one day doubles, and we finished bang in the middle on mid-table obscurity, which is a massive thanks to B-Side's very own John Sherlock and Gethin Watkins who won the one day doubles, and to our very own Michael Haskell who got 3rd overall with his partner Ben Smith. And given that we're sort of wrapping that stuff up here, I think it's only worth saying we didn't find this out to Sunday, but me and Tom got Most Sporting again. Oh yeah, Most Sporting Doubles Dash 2025. That was cool. And we got another one of these incredibly stylish Most Sporting pair medals. So that was cool. So 3rd year in a row, me and Tom have won Most Sporting pair at doubles, which I guess we must be doing something right. So that was super cool. So thank you to our opponents who voted for us for that. I guess you also enjoyed our adventures of having a giggle whilst Helm went punching round the world. And that was doubles. That was the end of the doubles tournament. Brilliant fun. I love it every year. and it's a real highlight of the event for me. And then Friday night we went on and we did our presentation, which we always do. So we did our SBG presentation. We are the entertainment for the Friday night at Ardacon. So as ever, we got up for, I don't know what it is, it feels like half an hour or something, and we do our presentation where we give out some chocolate and we go through some of the facts about the magazine and some of the fun we have and little competitions and all that sort of stuff. Thank you to everyone who came. We had a nice big crowd there watching, which was cool. Really appreciate everyone who comes along and gives up their Friday, and thanks to James for giving us the slot as ever. And that was that. And then we headed back to the bar, and my memory of that, and I truly forget. I can't quite pick out the difference between Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, because you're always effectively in the same place with the same people drinking. But I feel that Friday night was one of the nights where it was me and Mark, I think it was, along with some other people, decided to stay up to 3:30 in the morning just chatting, which is great at the time, but is on reflection probably a very silly idea. So we begin Saturday, a bit tired, and we are playing the singles. This is the start of the main tournament, as it were, of Ardacon. I'm taking my Shire to see if they can do some stuff, do some things. And my first game, I was drawn against. Where's James one? Here we go. So I was drawn against Philip, who was from Team Sweden, and he had the host of the Dragon Emperor. And this made me giggle because the last game I played at Ardacon in the last round of Ardacon 2024 was with my Shire against host the Dragon Emperor. So I don't quite know how people feel about the Dragon Emperor these days, but he's still good. Whether or not it's the same sort of top table terror that he was in the last edition, I don't know, but still wasn't a kind of, didn't feel to me like a pleasant draw, if that makes sense. But you can see here we were playing Divide and Conquer. So let's have a look at that. It's not there. Must have been later. So Divide and Conquer is where your army is split into two halves in the corners, and there's 3 objectives in the middle. So looking at this picture, you can see here where kind of my Hobbits are obviously in opposing corners, and his Easterlings have kind of got together quicker than I could. My flower pot placement was, this is the first time I had to place my flower pots. You can see them there run along the middle of the table. He's moved into the middle to try and protect them with the Dragon Emperor, and I'm kind of trying my best to storm through things as much as Hobbits can ever storm through anything. And so I was trying to balance the shooting in this, because I had far more shooting than he did, so I was trying to chip away with those, using the benefits of the flower pot rerolls, using Gandalf's magic to try and get some early kills, but obviously knowing as well that it's a scenario, it's a objective scenario, so you have to move in, you have to make sure you don't leave it too late to move in, and trying to balance that. And I do think ultimately I might have left it one turn too late to move in. I kind of was really debating on one turn, like, you're trying to look at the clock, is this the turn I move in, or will it be too late? And I think I held off to shoot, didn't really achieve a lot, and then charged in. But when I did, it went pretty well. And I don't have too many photos of this, but you can see where the Dragon Emperor was, and with kind of Gandalf moving along, and by the time we get to this point, you'll notice there is in front of Gandalf no Dragon Emperor, but there is 4 dudes on the front, and that's because I think over 2 turns I was able to charge into him. You can see there what I've got is Bilbo with the ring on, Gandalf and Sam, and that combination, I can't remember exactly what I did, but that combination allows me to halve the Dragon Emperor's fight value, and then either probably Gandalf struck, I think, from fight 5 up. So if the Dragon Emperor's fight 7, as he get half down to 4. Maybe I didn't need to strike, I can't remember. Or maybe the Dragon Emperor struck and got to 10 and then was half to 5, so Gandalf had to strike. I can't remember it. But I was able to trap him. I think I'd use some of Gandalf's amazing new fireworks in advance to maybe do like the strength 8 on him or something to do a wound on him already. So I was chipping away. But I killed him. I killed the Dragon Emperor in combat, which is obviously big for things like A, you get rid of a nasty model, B, all his aura effects go away, and C, you get victory points. And you can also see that I've pushed up and claimed that kind of objective on the far left, and then pushed into the middle, and then as well over on the far right down at the bottom, you can see that I think I got that one as well. And he had lots of Easterlings in the middle. And so at the end of the game, it ended with a 7-6 victory to me. I'm not going to look at the VPs, but I'm pretty sure that was for I killed his leader, held the 2 on the outside, and he held the 1 in the middle, and then maybe there was some breaking VPs or banners, whatever. But it was something like that. And so I won, and I was delighted. I was off to a flyer with the Shire. Hey, off to a flyer with the Shire. And I beat the Dragon Emperor, which was pretty cool, and I don't think many people would have bet on that outcome. But as predicted in my last video, the combination of the tricks, the fireworks, the ring, the flower pots were working. It was doing it. So I managed to win. So we headed off to lunch, which was fine this year. It's kind of like basic packaged sandwiches and stuff. It was pretty decent fare. Oh, they had soup as well. They had like fresh soup as well. So it was pretty good. And then in my second game, I was like, okay, I played the Dragon Emperor. I've only got a little win, so I'm not going to be catapulted up to the filth. So hopefully I'll just play, some sort of nice army that managed to get a win somehow in game 1. And I got to play Army of the White Hand. Is it the most controversial list of this edition? I don't know. I've just, as I said, Harry Parker has done three podcasts about Ardacon, and his question he's answering in that one is the Army of the White Hand fun to play against? What's it like as an experience? So it is a controversial army. I think it was very, very popular. There were arguably less at Ardacon than normal because of the team format. So each team can only have Saruman once. So that meant you could only have as many Army of the White Hands as there were teams, really. So there were less, and I think there were 6. Which, bearing in mind, let's assume your teams are full of 9, then that's quite a lot of your player base already accounted for in those teams. So there was 1 in every team, effectively. We had 1. Harry Moore took 1 for the Wanderers. 1 in every team. Maybe there could or should have been more if that they didn't have the team format. We'll never know. But yeah, I managed to find 1, and I was playing Maël from France, Belgique. I think he was French. It was a team. I think it was a combined French Belgian player, and Maël was absolutely lovely. He had Army of the White Hand. I'd never played with it before. I know what everyone's worried about with it. You have to kind of deploy to protect yourself from the lightning. My main thing on this, honestly, the way I play the game now was just I was worried about the mental bother of it. It's like playing a siege engine. You have to deploy your army as much as you can 2 inches apart, and I was like, I just can't be bothered to do this for the next 2 hours. Maël, lovely bloke that he was, decided to just use his lightning in the first turn, so I didn't have to worry about it. So it was great. So he lightninged me, and I think you can see my deployment here. What I basically tried to do was deploy in these kind of pairs along my line, which meant that he would only ever get, I think I could give him like 6 models, basically. You could pick about 6 models. And so we picked a bunch, and I think he killed like 4 models or something. Which when I got 62 Hobbits, I was like, it's not that bad. That's all right, I'll take that. And then I didn't have to worry about the lightning for the rest of it. And then he did something that kind of surprised me, where, as you can see, he started moving up. He was heroic marching and moving towards me. And can we see my flower pots? What you can hopefully see is the flower pots. He's walking towards the flower pots, and I'd kind of thought that's where I thought I'd have to meet up, and maybe that's when the battle line would be, and he'd shoot off. I think we had about the same number of bows, but he didn't. He plunged towards me, and I think he was worried about my bows. He was worried about blinding light protecting my bows, and he thought he'd smash me up in combat. So he walked forward, which I was fine with, and so what I then set up was, I think I had 17 bows, the flower pots were in range of his models, I had Gandalf's fireworks, and then once he got within 8, I had 1 turn of stones, maybe 2 turns of stones, and I just shot and shot and shot, and I murdered him. I haven't got a thing of his casualties here, but I killed about 16 of his models with shooting or something, and then obviously when the lines did clash, it was, I suddenly had a huge numbers advantage. I've got this shot here where once the lines did clash, I haven't said what scenario we were playing, sorry. We were playing, was it Fog of War? Yeah, Fog of War. You can see these 2 Crebain jumping behind my lines towards where Bilbo and Lobelia is. And obviously in Fog of War, you're like, as much as I was killing all his models, I was like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the slightest, because all that matters is your targets and all that sort of stuff. I was trying to kill one of his chieftains, possibly the Oathmaker. I can't remember. I think I was trying to kill the Oathmaker because we have oaths at Ardacon as well, which are like mini objectives. They're worth a tournament point, and one of them is kill the second most expensive model in his army. So I picked the one to kill the Oathmaker, and I think I made the Oathmaker my target. Basically going, I'll go all in. I'm quite confident with my army, particularly the fireworks and the shooting, that I can kill that kind of model, like a 2 wound 1 fate type model. And so I think I went, well, I'll just go all into that and try and kill him. I also figured he'd be protecting Grima, Grima at the, and so I was like, so it's very going to be, he'll keep Grima miles away and I won't be able to do anything with him. And then he fired these Crebain over the line, and I think I'm getting this right. One of them charged Bilbo with the Oathmaker, and one of them, and then 2 of them charged Lobelia. And as mad as this sounds, I know Lobelia won, but it didn't seem that crazy. Maybe Lobelia had help or something. I can't think. Oh, she had a banner, so she effectively had 2 dice against their 4 dice. But I think their fights are the same. And Lobelia beat off 2 Crebain, and then Bilbo beat off a Crebain and the Oathmaker, which was amazing. And suddenly I was like, okay, that's huge for a bunch of reasons. One, I still get my ring, and that's the Oathmaker that I'm trying to kill, and it just chucked him in. And 2, I'm almost certain he's targeting Lobelia for Fog of War, and somehow she's kind of like, probably against the odds here, got out of jail free. In the next photo here, what have we got? You can see that there's a tent right at the top. I think is this final positions. Yeah, this was how the game ended, and you can see I'd sent. If we look around the top, you can see my dogs are on this rocky outcrop. Now I'd sent them flanking. You can also see there's a dog in the forest at the top. I deliberately sent them up this side to draw some models away, and I thought because I'll be going for the wood or those rocks, and I was really hoping he'd send like a Crebain after him to chase them. But as it was, he just let them go, and that was kind of annoying because those weren't my objectives. That was a mere diversion. And in fact I was going for the hut on the far left, and you can see that I moved 3 models in there, and I'm pretty sure that he's got Grima hiding behind that, so I think I got more than he did for that. And then at the back of my army you can see that he could potentially be going for this rock thing in the middle, or he could be going for the forest, and I just made sure that he didn't have any models there. And then if we zoom in, we can now see also that Bilbo now has the ring on, and there is no Oathmaker because I killed the Oathmaker. I also had a wonderful chance to Sorcerous Blast Grima. It's one of those things where just for 1 turn he was in cart range and spell casting range, and it was horrible. I think I rolled like 3 dice to cast Sorcerous Blast and didn't cast it, and then he ran him away, and I was like, oh god, he was protecting him. That was his protector. That was my only chance to get him. Fog of War is a wonderful, wonderful scenario because you genuinely don't know how it's going until sometimes I guess if you keep all your heroes alive and you wipe out all their heroes, you're doing alright. But normally you don't know how it's gone until the game ends, which I think is super, super exciting. And so these were the final positions, and I was, as the game was going, I was like, I'm actually quite confident here because I think I've broken him. I knew I had some points for my scenery. I knew he had no points for his scenery. I think I'd kept my guy alive. That was the other thing. Bilbo was my protecting one. So when he jumped into Bilbo, I was like, oh god, no, if he kills him, that's a huge swing. So I was pretty confident. And indeed, I did manage to win it. And it ended up with a 16-3 win to me. However, that I'm not quite sure what permutation that led. But it was really good. It was a great game. And I played Army of the White Hand, and I was like, okay, great. So, Host of the Dragon Emperor done, Army of the White Hand done. Cool. Could I maybe next round I get an extra draw? And in the next round, I was delighted to go up to the heady heights of the upstairs room. Ooh, that's me and Will, both fellow Wanderer, and I think that's the top 8 tables. I've never been up there. I want to say they started it 2021. So when I was competing, there's a few times where I was on the top tables at Ardacon, but that was pre-COVID. But since they've had this room, I've never been up there. I think I got to table 9 once, and so that was kind of exciting. So I went up to the super secret room where you get free tea and coffee and stuff. And I was delighted to be playing Mr. Richard Spencer. He's a lovely bloke who I'd played before, I think at the GP, yeah. It was cool. I think I've only got, I'm just looking at this, I think I've only got one, I've only got one picture from this game. But it was like, what am I going to face? And you know what he had? He had Army of the White Hand. So that was cool. And it was pretty much the same army. I think he had less Crebain than Mael had. That was the difference. But it was this weird kind of like Groundhog Day thing. I was like, all right, I'll pick send a message. I'll choose the Oathmaker because I know he's the second most expensive model. And I'll deploy all my armies here, 2 inches apart, as best I can to do it. And then Richard had the good grace to do his lightning in the first turn. Right, so he shot lightning and he killed about 4 or 5 hobbits. Same old, same old. And then what I did was quite clever. Was I was like, after my L, he'll fear my shooting. So I deployed quite far back. And we were playing Domination. And I deployed quite far back and like, he's going to have to come to me and shoot. And then what Richard did was deploy not as far back and shoot me. And I was like, oh dear. And then he started winning the shooting war. He shot first. It killed some of my archers with the lightning. He prioritised my archers, so then there was no chance of me getting into the shooting war because I was already behind. And basically, without wanting to, I've only got this one photo, without wanting to, I don't know, trivialise the game, but that was kind of it. I then had to kind of walk towards him while he shot me. And I just misplayed this, to be honest. I was so fixated on the same matchup as last time and what had happened. I forgot the scenario. And clearly, can we see the objectives? There was about 3 along the middle somewhere. I'm just trying to see if I can spot them. There's definitely one there, bang in the middle. And I think there's one under the corner ruin. There's one round by that tent. And then there's 2 over on Richard's side somewhere. And clearly what I should have done was deploy in the middle to kind of, protect 3 and then push up. And is Domination still 12 inches on? No, it isn't. It's 24 inches on. I should have just deployed right in the middle and pushed up and used my numbers basically. And so I just misplayed that entirely. It wasn't like Richard played well and everything, but I was like almost as soon as it started, I was like, well, I've banked on him running towards me while I shoot him, and he's just not doing that. And because of that, and the fact that I'm put myself in the wrong place, I'm screwed. And so, unfortunately, it just all went horribly wrong. Richard was absolutely lovely, but it ended up with a 11-2 loss to me for him holding most of the objectives, I think. So the dream run was over for the Shire, alas. I think it's fair to say, fairly horrible draw. Host of Dragon Emperor, Army of the White Hand, Army of the White Hand. But the glorious start was over. Brilliant game against Richard, really lovely bloke. We had a great laugh, really enjoyed it. A big shout out to him because I think he finished 3rd overall at Ardacon, so no shame in losing to 3rd place. And he missed out on getting into the Champions round by the narrowest margin. So lovely bloke, lovely game. But alas, I got kicked down. You then have Ardacon's schedule has come on so far since year 1, and it really is good now. But the only bit that I don't like is then you go for dinner, and the dinners there are great now. They have a theme night. They normally do like an Italian night, a Mexican night, and a Asian night, I think it is. And I can't remember what it was, but good food. So you get like curry, or you get nachos, or lasagna, or something like that. It's really good. You go and eat, and you're like, awesome, 3 great games. I was like, gee, what a draw. And then you play a 4th game. So I don't want to play a 4th game. And my first photo from this 4th game is at 7:44. Now that isn't the start, but I think that game starts at 6:30. That's my memory of it. So I don't suppose it shows it here, does it? I don't think the time is up on this. But you have your dinner, and then at 6:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, you go and start the next round. It's like, I don't want to do it. So if they change anything, I'd love them to change that. Just ditch it. You just don't need that game. Just put that game onto Sunday. Yeah. So I was like, okay, at least I've lost. Horrible draw. What am I going to play now? Army of the White Hand. 3 in a row. 3 Army of the White Hands in a row. I think there are 5 at the tournament I can play, and I found 3 of them in a row. And honestly, at 6:30 on a Saturday night, playing Army of the White Hand for the 3rd time, I was like, oh, for God's sake. It was John Partridge, lovely bloke. No problem with him. But I was like, for God's sake, I don't want to do this. So 6:30, I deployed all my armies 2 inches apart. I picked send a message. I picked the Oathmaker because I know he's the second one. And then this time, I was like, right, learn from the last game. And it's basically the same army. They're all bringing the same army, effectively, just debating how much Crebain they've got, effectively. And I was like, learn from the last one, and make sure you don't kind of make quite that same cock up. And this one, I deployed, I think you had the option, we were playing Lords of Battle, so kills really do matter in this. And I think in Lords of Battle, I think that's still a 24-inch deployment zone, isn't it? Yeah. So I didn't want to deploy, let's say, 12 inches on, in case he deployed 12 inches onto his and then shot me to death and forced me to come to him. But I didn't want to deploy, so I didn't want to make the same mistake I made about Richard. But I didn't want to deploy 24 inches on in case he decided to play it like Mael had played it and charged towards me. So I think I deployed like 18 inches on with my first warband, just to see where he would go. And then John deployed quite far towards the back. I want to say about 6 inches onto his table. So at that point I was like, right, he's going to shoot me. That's his plan. So then everything else I deployed further up, and I put the flower pots basically halfway across his deployment zone. So if he ended up coming towards me, he'd have to walk through them. But if I had to go towards him, that's probably where the battle line would be. And then we had this shooting war, and we had very, very similar numbers. Now, he'd obviously banked on winning the shooting war because he'd deployed at the back. And I want to say we both had about 17 bows. He had the advantage of range, which is 24 inches. So if he gets it right, it basically means he can probably move 3 inches back and shoot me when I won't be able to shoot. I had the advantage of the hit thing. So I think I was hitting on 3+, he was hitting on 4+. Loads of wild men in this army. Like all this is what the army of the White Hand's doing. It's spamming cheap wild men. And so we had this shooting war, and I was like, well, I'll give it a go. I've deployed sensibly this time, but I'm still going to try. Like, it just takes 1 or 2 rounds of shooting for the results to go. And it went my way. I don't know if he missed a lot or if I hit a lot, but the shooting war just went my way quite unexpectedly. And suddenly it got to the point where, and I think we were targeting each other's archers. Maybe I had better protection for my archers or something, because I always had like a meat shield, I can't remember. But I was able to kill most of his archers. And then of course, exactly as happened with Richard, but the other way around, he then suddenly goes, well, I can't win the shooting war now. I'm going to have to walk towards him. And he had to walk towards me over my flower pots. And at that point, I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. And it was more like the first game, where I then just stood there shooting him, re-rolling all my failed wounds because of the flower pots, and just kind of gunned him down, and just had this, I don't know, 3-4 turns as he walked towards me, where I was able to just basically stand there and shoot them. And I just got a long way ahead in the kill count, effectively. I got almost uncatchably far ahead. And then by the time he got to me, I still had, 50 models, and he was down to 20 models or 30 models, whatever it is, where you just can't swing it. One thing he did do, that the only potential mistake was one of the oaths was to get your models within 3 inches of the enemy table edge. And he'd obviously chosen that one, and 2 of his Crebain, he flew over my army to kind of grab that. And so he was obviously, oaths are worth a TP, so he was obviously keen to get that. But I don't know, for my money, I was like, I'm fine with you having 2 Crebain off there grabbing that. I don't mind if you have a tournament point, really, as opposed to having 2 more Crebain in the scrap. And he also sent, I think it was another Crebain down the flank to try and achieve that as well. And I was able to jump on that Crebain with Gandalf and like a hobbit, a couple of hobbits. And whilst it took Gandalf off the side a bit, to me that was like, well, that's 4 points. It's 4 points for the tally. That's worth going and guaranteeing that kill. And Gandalf was fairly mobile, so Gandalf went over, killed that, and then kind of came back. And so that to me, I thought was a bit of a mistake in the kind of play. But it meant that 3 of his Crebain never really got into the game. The Crebain are incredibly infuriating. I know people know this, but for me, one of the most annoying rules is Saruman using them as line of sight. So that you can never see Saruman just hiding behind a rock somewhere using the Crebain for line of sight. And Saruman was kind of camped in that building in the middle for most of it. But you can see basically here. I think you will have seen this photo, this long line of what was left of his army moving towards me. And we got into a scrap. You can sort of see the numbers there. It took me a while to bring those hobbits that were on the kind of right hand flank at the top of the picture round, but you can see the difference in numbers when we actually got into a fight there. And I was just able to overwhelm him. Once again, I got Bilbo with the ring on into the Oathmaker, killing him to get my oath. And you can see at the end, Saruman dies. I can't remember how I killed Saruman, whether it was in combat or maybe Gandalf Sorcerer's Blasting or something. But that I took him down, and it was basically just I'd done so much damage with the shooting. There was no way for John to get back into it. He took it with really, really good grace. It's not always fun to have those games where it swings early and then you don't get back into it. It's kind of the reverse of what I had against Richard, to be honest. It had happened to me. And John, like I say, John was really lovely with it, and I ended up with a 13-0-1 win. So day one was over of the singles. I'd played the Host of the Dragon Emperor and Army of the White Hand 3 times. Gross. Is that the worst draw ever at a tournament? I mean, come on, that's pretty gross. But I'd won 3 of them. So, remember my speculation? Is the Shire the secret sauce? I was on 3 out of 4 wins on day one. I beat Host of the Dragon Emperor and I beat Army of the White Hand twice. Suggest it's pretty good. So then about, I don't know, what's the time's the next photo? We were doing the quiz at 9:30, so that game probably ends about 8:30 or something. And then Jay Clare was doing his annual quiz, which was awesome. So we all joined for that. We had a Wanderers team, and as ever, the Wanderers were joined by Matt and John Davis. It's kind of an Ardacon tradition for us. So we had our team. It was a wonderful quiz, and lots of fun kind of posing. I had to pose as Golbury. I think I made a very sexy Golbury. There was fun on your wavelength quiz round where Harry had to go out of the room, and then Harry Moore this is, and then we had to answer a bunch of questions as what Harry would give, and then he had to come back in and answer them, and we had to try and give the same answers. So that was quite fun. We had Tom Moore, Harry's cousin, on the team, so he was our insider man on that, and we did alright on that. But that's a brilliant round, and we won the quiz. Woo! So that was super cool, and we got these cool. I thought I had it in here, but maybe the girls have purloined it. I've got these wonderful photos of us all wearing them. We got these little Even Star necklaces, which I thought was a really cool, different quiz-winning gift. So well done, James and Ardacon. That was great. I really liked that. And so we all got those. And my daughter, whose middle name Charlotte Arwen, so her middle name's Arwen, the wonderful Tom Macklin, got her an Even Star for her. I think it was her christening. So she's had an Even Star all of her life. She's 8 now. And so I got this one. I gave it to my other daughter, Olivia. So they've both now got an Even Star. So that was cool. That was lovely. I really like that. And again, lots and lots of fun. And then we headed off to the bar and stayed up to about 3:30 in the morning. I think, was that the night we found the super secret bottle bank bar? I think it turns out, I don't know if it's changed or if we just didn't know this before, but right down at the bottom of the Mercure at reception, they've got a bottle bar. So when the main bar closes, you can go down there. So yeah, we did for some reason. We decided to go down there. It's just so, to me, I don't get to see these people very often, and just that social bit in the evenings, just sitting chatting to people about all things nerdy, I just think is absolutely wonderful. So again, off to bed, woke up very, very tired, and my reward for doing that was on the heady heights of table 11, so I'm still doing all right. Does it say where you are? It does say where you are. Oh no, it doesn't. Sorry, I was just looking at this thing. I think it only shows you where you finished on this chart. It doesn't show you where you were at the time. But table 11, so I guess I'm 21st, something like that. So I was doing all right, and genuinely, I mean, I potentially in contention to win it. There's 2 games left. You would think. I don't think you can go 6-0. Oh, I mean, you can go 6-0, can't you? But I think basically a 5 win and some O's can get you into the championship round. I think basically. So there was this crazy potential at that point that if I won both my games, I could win. Now I can't stress this enough. I didn't want to. As much as people don't like the championship round, if you don't know how Ardacon works, after 6 games, the top 2 people play an extra game, whilst there's then a kind of fun chaos in Arda. I've never played in that championship round. We've got a couple of Wanderers. Tom played in it once, and Callum played in it once. Truly, where I am in my gaming career, I can't imagine anything worse than playing 6 games and then playing a hyper competitive game of SBG at the end, being streamed. Whereas what I like to do in that 2 hours is have a drink, pack down the SBG stand, and get ready for the evening. I quite like that 2 hours there. I know a lot of people don't, because we stay on the Sunday night. I don't mind it, and I enjoy that time. And so, as much as I was delighted to be doing well on game one, I was like, the best possible outcome for me would be to win both games, get 5 wins, and come third. I was like, I don't want to play that final game. So, but you can't deny, like three games out of 4 against very good opposition. I was like, maybe I've got a chance here. Maybe something magical could happen here. And my draw for that was Alex Colasante. Am I saying that right? Colasante, I think that's right. From Australia, travelled halfway around the world to come from Mountain Goats Gaming. Met him on the Friday night, the Saturday night. We chatted a bit and stuff. It was super cool. And he had Uglut Scouts. And it's like, to be honest, I was just deliriously happy he didn't have Army of the White Hand. But again, Uglut Scouts, very powerful. And you know, you're Ardacon, you're game 5, you're on table 11. You should be expecting to play good players with good armies. But I was like, I'm not having a particularly pleasant draw here, am I? And we're playing Treasure Hoard, which is the new scenario. We've got 3 objectives each, and you have to kind of try and grab them and hold them. I've never played it before, and you deploy in a semicircle in the middle. So great to play, Alex. We're very, very chatty, really, really kind of like friendly back and forth throughout. And as deployment started, something terrible occurred to me. It's quite possible that if you play normal armies, you've never measured how far away the objectives are from your semicircle, because it just doesn't come into it. I know how far away they are. Do you know how far away they are? They're 9 inches away. Do you know how fast Hobbits move? 4 inches. That means I can't get to my objectives until turn 3. He had Uglut Scouts that can heroic march. That means they move 11, I think. 11 inches. Do you know how far my objectives are away from his semicircle? Because I do. They're about 20 inches. Which means he could get to my objectives before I could, let alone his objectives. So I think very early on, and it was a terrifying army. It was pretty much what we played with Ben and Michael. You know, it's all the named heroes, a captain of each, and then a billion guys. And he did double heroic march, swept over his objectives, and then turn 2, double heroic march, swept over his objectives. And I was staring at this, and you know, I'm not nowhere near as competitive as I used to be, and I'm nowhere near as sharp. But I was staring at this, going, I don't think there's anything I can do about this, like whatsoever. I've got my 3 dogs, but the dogs can't pick up objectives. I can't dig them up. So the best I could do was try and block one. But the 3 dogs could. I tried to block one of the objectives, but A, they couldn't do it enough, and B, there's 2 other objectives. And so yeah, by turn 2, what's this? Is that the main battle line? Yeah, you can see the deployment here, and you can see. This isn't quite the deployment. This must be turn 2, I reckon, because he's on the objectives. Yeah, there's one there kind of being guarded by a dog. The one in the middle I'm alright with. You can see a loom band on my Hobbit who's picked it up, and then the one on the left, that yellow loom band, that's my objective that he's kind of grabbed. And then next turn it all came down to a heroic move, because as much as he's dug them up, I could still kill the guys who've got them. And it came down to a heroic move off, and you can see that basically Gaffer Gamgee, who's out on the left flank, was able to call a heroic move, which allowed me to charge the guy with it. So I was like, okay, at least I've pinned that one in place. But I think because of that, I could pick one, and I think he won the roll-offs. I think he picked the one that hadn't been dug up at that point, swarmed over it, which then meant I got to do that one. And obviously by that point, he's got one of mine, and is massively, massively in charge. And yeah, that's kind of how it proved. He obviously had his own 3. It was going to take a hell of a lot for me to get to those. He'd nabbed one of mine, and he had Grishnak. Grishnak had picked it up, and Grishnak was also my Oath model, the send a message, kill the second most highest model. So at this point, the good thing about Oaths is if you're losing a game, it gives you something else to play for. That's always the appeal of it. So I was like, okay, even if I lose this, I can still get my TP for the Oath. So I was going all out for Grishnak, and there was a turn where I'm trying to remember what permutation it was. What comes first? It must have been Sorcerous Blast. So I think I Sorcerous Blasted Grishnak at a point where he had, I want to say 2 wounds of fate, and I rolled a 4 to wound him, and I debated using a might to wound him. And this might seem silly, but A, he was holding one objective, so if I killed him he'd drop it. but I also knew I planned to firework him. And so look, I'll just jump ahead to that. But basically, you would never say, yeah, use a might point to do a wound on him for an oath. Maybe if it's fog of war target, you're going to get a wound, fine. But I could spend a point of might with him and leave him with like 1 wound and 1 fate. But then when I came to the fireworks and the shoot phase, I think I did the big one on him. And I knew I was going to do this. So if I rolled a 2+ to use it, he'd then take a strength 8 here, which is a 3+ to wound. And so my thinking, like I was debating it, and I think Alex was going, I wouldn't do that. Which is the sensible call. I was like, but I knew in the following phase I was going to roll a 2+ and then have to roll a 3+, which could kill him. And so I decided not to use the might on the Sorcerer's Blast. And then in the shoot phase, roll a 2+, roll a 3+ to wound him, and he failed his fate. Now, irrelevant to the butterfly effect thing, you know, if I had used the might, he would have rolled all those dice at different times, so maybe I wouldn't have done it. But that was kind of my point, that he was then down to 1 wound, no fate. So if I had mighted it, and then the same dice had happened, he would have been dead. And so it was that kind of, and so suddenly I was like, that's annoying. But I was like, I've still got a few turns to get him. And I just didn't. I just didn't have, I just never got, I don't know if I never got the Sorcerer's Blast off, or if I never managed to wound him, or anything like that. But he then legs it, and I think you can see at the back here, I think this might be final positions, but you can see somewhere back there's like 2 orcs, there's a scout captain. That could be Grishnak. I think it is still Grishnak, or Snaga maybe, I don't know, but they've got 4 of the objectives over there. And yeah, so he was able to basically, because of where his army was and where my army was, he was able to just get the objectives out of there. And I just never really got back into it. Where is it? Where's it gone? That was a 11-2 loss. Alex was absolutely lovely. Really, really lovely bloke. He got my my sporting vote. There was a few takebacks, I think, which were really nice on both parts, where we were just both playing. It's how I like to play the game. Really, really lovely. Great to chat to him. Great to meet him. Someone from a completely different world, you know, on the other side of the world. So that's the joy of Ardacon, meeting international people. But he was a lovely, lovely guy. We had a really great game, and I was just never in it. And I was chatting to him afterwards, and I don't think I screwed up really. I don't think I could do anything about it. It's just an awful draw. Like, Hobbits are going to struggle in that one to get to the enemy's objective, but you can still do well. I would still rate my army to win that scenario against most opponents. But getting a draw at that scenario against someone who is so fast and can be on your objective for you was just really, really, really unlucky. And so with my loss against Richard, I feel like I played a part in that. I deployed badly. Whereas this one, I just think it was one of those combinations where I don't believe in auto losses, but it was, you're playing a very, very good opponent with a very competitive army at a scenario that massively favors it. I think Alex must have been delighted when he saw the scenario and he saw my army. He was like, Game 5 of Ardacon, brilliant, what a treat. But it was great fun, really, really, as I said, really, really enjoyed it. But I lost, and so the dream was over, but also the fear was over. Hooray! There's no chance of playing in the championship. I think in our messenger chat, that's actually what I wrote at that game. I was like, I've got great news, and the great news is I'm not playing in the championship round. So yeah, I lost that one. Then we had the same lunch again, which was nice again. And then I got to play in my final game of Ardacon, Thomas Wag. Hooray! Tom's a lovely bloke who I think I've only ever played him once. I played him once at Ardacon before. And I was just, when, knowing that you're going to play a nice guy in the final round is great. And do you know what else? He had Reclamation of Osgiliath. Now that is a good army, I want to say. Why is that not showing up? No, it doesn't list it. For some reason it doesn't list it. Yeah, Reclamation of Osgiliath, that's right. It's a decent army. It was very popular at Ardacon as well. Again, I think because of the team format, you maybe get a bigger spread of armies because people can only, if there's a team of 9 of you, you've got to you can only take each one once. So that's quite nice. It's very, very popular, but I don't think it's an egregious army. I think it's it's probably the first army I played where I was like, I don't think I'm playing like a meta pick here. We were, by that point, what table were we on? we were on table 19, so that's like 38th, 40th. So it was lovely because there was nothing riding on it for either of us. We were like, this is cool, we've had a great tournament, neither of us can win anything important is, so we can just have a really chilled out game. And yeah, it was quite nice to be playing against an army that doesn't have the... I mean, I'd say like Army of the White Hand's got so many, Cremain going to jump over here, I'm going to lightning you, Saruman's going to blast you, Green's going to do horrible things. So much to think about, whereas this isn't really an army like that. It's a fairly, Boromir and Faramir are now very, very good and they're going to cut you up, but everything's going to be relatively easy to deal with. And I got to play Hold Ground, and I was delighted about Hold Ground because the flower pot placement was easy. Right, where are we going to be fighting? We're going to be fighting in the middle. So I just put my flower pots in this triangle to make a zone of death in the middle. And I was like, I rated my chances in this. Can we see how many models Tom's got? Tom has 35 models. So I nearly doubled him. 62 to 35. I had far more models. It's a model-based game. I had really good ways of shutting down Boromir. Between Lobelia, between the Ring, between Gandalf. I was like, that'll be alright. And I was just like, all I need to really do is slowly swarm my way onto it. And the thing I was worried about was deployment. Maelstrom, like I was worried last year, Maelstrom was a real worry for me in deployment, because I was like, if he gets to separate my army, he can just... all my warbands, I went through my warbands at the start, they're all like 9 hobbits and a hero. He can just pick any one of them and just murder them. He can probably take 2 and just murder them, and then I'll be in real trouble. And actually, I'll show you my deployment here. I managed to get all of this here for 1 might point. And I was really pleased. I was really, really happy with where my deployment was, so that none of my warbands got separated. And then the downside of that is, as we've been deploying in Hold Ground for 10 years now, if you want to protect yourself, you deploy near a corner, right? So that if you roll north or south, you go 6 inches from here, knowing that if you roll east or west, you can come on here. And I did that. The downside of that is that for hobbits, they're a long way away from the middle. And then basically, our 2 armies kind of walked together. I'm coming in from him, and he was coming up like this. And clearly neither of us were particularly interested in engaging to begin with. We wanted to get to the middle. And unfortunately, I don't actually have any pictures of that. I don't have any pictures of the middle of the game. But eventually he baited me out with a warband of about 12. And based on all my experience of the previous tournament, the previous games, I took it and I charged in and just got butchered. And it was actually like almost... It was the first game or the first fight where almost what you'd expect to happen to hobbits happened. Whereas every game I've played so far had been like, oh no, they do better than you'd think. Whereas they charged in against higher defence, higher fight models. They lost and they died and they didn't kill. And I was suddenly like, oh, that was a shame. But it's alright, I got loads of them. And then basically, if you imagine I'm deployed in this bottom corner here, and I'm coming like this, and he was basically doing this and just putting his army between me. It didn't matter how many models I had. They're all moving so slow and just bouncing off this shield wall that I just couldn't get through. And I put a lot into getting Boromir off his horse early on with Sorcerous Blast. And I think maybe I put too much into that. I think I might have put... I can't remember, but I put a lot of will points, maybe a couple of might points, to blast him off his horse and drain his will. And I just don't think it was that important when... What I should have done, I think, is just wait till he got close and then use one of Gandalf's fireworks to knock him prone and get him off his horse that way. But as it turned out, Gandalf was a little low on resources, and I was using Gandalf to charge in because he was one of very few models I had that was higher fight than him. So I was charging him on his cart, but then of course what that means is once you have charged in, if you lose the heroic move off, you then can't cast spells and you don't get the charge bonus, and he becomes far less effective. He basically, Gandalf, I feel like he shut down Faramir for most of the game, somewhere or other, but then Faramir was able to get onto him, and I think Gandalf died. I think he died in combat to Faramir, and suddenly that was like, oh, this is awful, because I can't tell you, it's one of those armies that it is good. I think the Shire is good, but you need Gandalf. The fireworks are massive, and if you lose the fireworks, and that means you lose your cart, which often means you've lost Gandalf, the whole thing falls apart. You need the fireworks to stop the big threats every turn, and if you don't have the fireworks, it's all over. And he killed Gandalf, and I was just like, oh no. And I think I said to the guys on our Wanderers chat when there was about an hour left, I was like, I was like, this is going all right as long as I win a few heroic moves. I'll just amble my large numbers into the middle and probably win. And I think Tom won 4 heroic moves in a row, and it's just one of those things. I was like, that's the game. Like, you know, if you get to move in a scenario that's based around you moving, if you get to pick who moves first 4 times in a row, there's just nothing you can do. And then that's what happened. And I think I've got a final positions here. And you can see it looks like I've still got quite a lot of Hobbits left, but they're just not in the right place. I just wasn't able to get to the middle. And my joyous flower pot placement, I don't think I've got to re-roll a single roll in the entire game because I was never in the middle. So it was still the right place to put them, but maybe not the right place to put my Hobbits. I don't know. And I felt confident about it, and I genuinely do feel, I was like, I don't think I'd change my deployment. Maybe I'd change what I did with Gandalf and protect him a bit more. But I still think I deployed in the right place. But it did make me think, it's a learning exercise. I am learning how this army works, like, throughout these tournaments, and pretty much because there's so many scenarios now. I've only played each scenario once with Hobbits or whatever. But maybe with Whole Ground and with Hobbits, you need to be kind of, maybe just need to take it a bit more and go, do you know what, I'm going to risk not being together, and if I roll north or south, I'm going to go in the middle and just walk to the middle, and if I roll east or south, I'm going to go in the middle and walk straight towards the middle. And that might have been more successful to me, but equally, if I had done that, maybe he would have got to ambush some of my other army. So that one, I lost to Richard. I feel like that was my fault. I lost to Alex. That wasn't my fault. And I lost to Tom, and that was possibly my fault or not. There's a bit of both. But it was an absolutely brilliant game. Really, really enjoyed it. It was really chilled out. A really lovely way to end the tournament. So thanks to Tom. But it's kind of crazy that at 10 a.m. on Sunday, I was thinking, there's an outside chance I could be in the championship round here. And then at 4 p.m. on, what time was that? At 3 p.m. on Sunday, I was 3 wins, 3 losses, mid-table obscurity. I was like, that was a terrible day. So the dizzying heights of day one against grim opposition was then 2 games on day 2 against potentially nicer opposition. I mean, the armies here, not the people. And I got spanked twice. So yeah. So alas, 3 games and 3 wins and 3 losses. And if we go and have a look at the leaderboard, I think I finished 59th in total. Just going back. Round 6. Yeah, I finished 59th. And congrats to Tom, who finished 25th with that win. So that's what we're playing with, the difference between kind of 25th place and 59th place. So yeah, that was that. That was the end of the competition. And as we said, they play the championship round. They play an extra game of Whole Ground, and then because we stay on Sunday, we use that time to pack up our stand, ready to kind of enjoy the evening on Sunday. So I really like that. So we got to kind of chill out for a bit, pack all the stuff away, get ready for the awards. There was a raffle, an awesome raffle, loads and loads of good prizes. Chris Murphy, our Wanderer, won 2 swords, I think. I didn't win anything. Stupid raffle for stupid people. But what can you do? And then they gave out the awards. Obviously, we won our doubles, most sporting. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And the Wanderers, I just want to make sure I want to make sure, I want to be careful that I don't miss out on anyone. But I don't think the Wanderers then won anything. I don't think we certainly didn't finish. We finished 5th overall, which was good for us. We are famously a team of semi-retired dads who try our best but aren't particularly competitive or anything like that. And we were 3rd at the end. We were doing really, really well. At the end of day 1, we were 3rd. And I think in game 4, I think we got 8 wins out of 9. So our team, 8 of us won in round 4. And so we were like, this is great. Finishing day 1 with potential to win, to get onto the podium. And the Wanderers have done it all at Ardacon. We've won it. We've got gold, we've got silver, we've got bronze, and we've won most sporting team. So whilst those days we're just not competitive anymore, we're just not competitive enough, are largely behind us. When we at the end of Saturday, we were like, God, we've got good players still. Like Will Champion rejoined us. I'm going to be horrible to someone now when I forget them. Like Will Champion still knows exactly what he's doing. Very competitive player. Chris Murphy plays an awful lot. Jay Clare we've got, who I don't think plays as much used to, but is obviously one of the best players in the world. Tom Harrison can always pull out like an incredible turnaround like normally. Harry and Tom I think are kind of properly with me in semi-retired land with Adam and Stoney, but we had depth, and some of us were, I was doing better than to be expected on Saturday, so finishing day one on in third place, we were like, we've got a chance at the podium here, but then I think we had an awful round 5, I think, as a team, and so alas, that slipped away. And we finished in 5th place. Congratulations to France Belgique, who came first, Australia and Co, who came second, and Gollum's Heroic Hog, who came third in the team championships. But it was great fun always. But no big prizes for the Wanderers this year. But brilliant fun. And then we after all the wonderful awards, congratulations to everyone who won the Masters, everyone who won the 2-day doubles, everyone who won the singles. I'm not going to go through everything because there were so many people and so many prizes there. It's there's a lot of opportunity to win something at Ardacon, which is awesome. Tom won something. I was just going through. Tom won. I say the Wanderers didn't win anything. Tom won. Did he get Best Painted Army? It was one of those. I'm trying to work out what. It might be Best Painted Army. It was a painting award for his army. I think he might have won it, which is also for his Dale army. I'm glad I looked through the photos. That would have been awful if I'd done him dirty out of that. But he was. It was brilliant. James Collard judged the painting competition, and Tom's Dale army is absolutely beautiful. His stuff on that it's the best thing he's ever painted. Absolutely stunning models, incredible work. And I think he won Best Painted Army for that, which is awesome. So massive congrats to Tom, which is good. And then people started saying their goodbyes. Some people still going, but that's when Ardacon doesn't end. That's when Ardacon begins, because that is when we go for the Chinese, which is genuinely one of the highlights of the trip. So on Sunday night, everyone who's left, there's about 30 of us this time I think, goes to a Chinese buffet, which we've been doing. It was started, the first Chinese was me, Mark, Adam and Tom, and I want to say it was in 2019, and we went to a Chinese on the Sunday night, and then when it came back in 2021, we went with all the TOs, and then since that year, Nick started organising it, and it turned into a bigger event where people get invited along to it and all. We always go to the same place now, and it's wicked, and really good food, and it's so chilled out, and everyone's kind of sad that the event's over, but kind of happy and all that. And it's normally on the last day of an event you end up going off and driving home being miserable. It's a really nice thing if you can, and we always do it, to stay on that Sunday night because there's still a big group of people, and just basically have the have a final hurrah for Ardacon. So we went out to that, had lovely Chinese food, and then went back to the bar, and again just stayed up very late chatting to the people that were left, which was I think that was the night we ended up in the bottle bar chatting to a lot of the Australians, swapping stories that probably shouldn't be swapped, which was great. Just hanging out with John, Alex, Sean, Jake, Adam was there, I think Jay was there that night, Mark I think was still there. It was really cool. It was really good fun. A lovely end to it. And then we woke up on the Monday morning with the real traditional blues. Although it is nice to get a bit of a lie-in on the Monday. No one has to be up, so I think everyone wakes up. I think we had breakfast at about 10 instead of breakfast at about 8 or something. So that's quite pleasant. We had breakfast and all said our goodbyes and headed off. And then the Wanderers have this kind of almost tradition in our Wanderers chat of posting get home photos, and it's quite nice as throughout the day different people kind of get dropped off, and so our car wandered home, dropped Tom off, and then I ended up dropping Mark off in Richmond. We went for one last Ardacon date. He'd come over on Wednesday, and it was now the Monday, so we'd had 4 full days together, kind of 6 different days together. It was lovely, and sent him off to get onto to get his flight. And that was it. Home from one of my favourite events. And the big question, of course, is: are the Shire the secret sauce? I think they might be. I'm not I'm kind of done with them for now, by the way. This isn't like, I'm not going to keep doing this now. My plans going forwards now don't involve the Shire. I think that'll do pig. But they were good. They were very, very good. And they beat very, very, very good opposition. They lost, and what you can clearly see, the games I lost, I'm not going to count Richard because I think that was a mistake on how I played it, that you would get better at practice. The whole ground and treasure hoard, I think you'll struggle to win those, and movement is massive. You can't get heroic march in the list, and treasure hoard, you'll struggle against most armies, and there are some armies like cav armies that I don't think you can win that in a way. So that's an obvious gap. So maybe that's too big a disadvantage to overcome. But I definitely feel they could compete, and I think I was right about the points. I think I said that in my last scenario, that I thought the sweet spot is somewhere 600 to 800, and I was pleased with my army. I was pleased with every model I took in it. I think I had the right heroes. I didn't ever think, oh, I shouldn't have taken this guy or I should have taken this guy. I was pleased with what I had. I think I debated the choice in the last one about Merry and Pippin. I didn't, because they had fight 3 and they were almost guaranteed to pass their fate. I didn't miss them. I think the bigger more low fight models are better. I think some more might would have been good, but you're basically choosing like a might point against 7 hobbits, and I think I had the right thing. So I'm kind of tempted, honestly, next year at Ardacon to take them again and see how they do again. I obviously had a weirdly spiky draw with 3 armies of the White Hand, but I beat 2 of them, and then kind of lost to a fairly pleasant Gondor army. So, you know, do I think they're going to start dominating the meta and winning all tournaments? No. Do I think there's a chance that you could win a GWHL 100 of them? I do. I do think, I don't think they're going to win the league, but I think the right tournament with the right, you know, scenarios, I think the Shire could win. I think they are that good. So yeah, if only I could end the tournament after day 1, right? 3 out of 4 wins, beat Army of White Hand twice and host the Dragon Emperor. I was right! After day 2, 3 wins, 3 losses, 59th place. Maybe I wasn't right. But I do think there's something there. I do think there's something there worth exploring. And I've had a lot of fun exploring it. This brings to the end 13 months in the Shire for me. I think my first vlog last year was in July, where I started painting for Ardacon. I then spent the whole last half of the year painting Hobbits, had a bit of a break at the start of the year, and then brought them back for doubles. 5 events, 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 mid-table obscurity. Sorry, 2 wins, 2 wooden spoons, 1 mid-table obscurity. That's a fairly fantastic record, I think. And I've had a lot of fun, and it's been a hell of a year. I know I started them 5 years ago when I painted about 20 Hobbits up, but that then paused the project. I feel like for the last 13 months I've been having fun in the Shire, and for now I'm done. As I said in my last vlog when I painted them, there is a kind of another one last epilogue to come for the Shire, and I'll be doing that hopefully early next year. But for now, that is the end of that, and that is also the end of my Ardacon review. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this has given you some entertainment while you paint. It was an amazing event as ever. Not all those who wander are lost. My Wandery brothers in arms, I love you all so much. It was a joy to be playing with you once again, and to be it is a wonderful event. If you're on the fence at all, I would heartily recommend going. If you're a B-Simer and you're watching this and you're part of our community, let's try and get loads and loads of battle streamers there next year for the 10th anniversary. I think it's going to be brilliant. We will be there, and I really can't wait for it. So a massive congrats to James and to the whole team of PMG, Sam, Nick, Adam, Rachel, and I think anyone else who helps them out there. It was brilliant. They put on an awesome event, and I loved it, and I'm sad it's over. But there we go. That is it. So if you've made it this far, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below about whatever you thought of it. It's a little harder to leave a comment on these ones, maybe because there's no hobby on display, but let me know what you think of the Shire. Let me know what you think of my draw. How did I do? Should I have been expected to do better? Should I have done worse? All that sort of stuff. It would be great to get the conversation going. I will be back very, very soon, and I am delighted to say it's Throne of Skull season. So everything I've done up to now has been its own little beast, but it is now the start of September, and we are building up towards Throne of Skulls season. I think I'm going to have one kind of unique pre-Throne of Skulls-y video. I think I'll be doing that. At the time of recording, I'm planning on doing that, but I'll just have to see how we get on with it. If not, so that will be the next exciting one. A kind of video about Throne of Skulls that isn't about my Throne of Skulls project for this year. So that'll make sense if it happens. If not, my next video will be the start of my Throne of Skulls project for 2025, which I am so excited about. I'll be talking about it at length in future videos, but I think the simplest spoiler I can give you is I will be returning to this box. I had a lot of fun with this box in the first few months of the year. I'm coming back to this box and to have a whole lot more fun with Throne of Skulls going forwards for 2025. There's going to be models, there's going to be conversions, there's going to be display boards, there's going to be fancy dress, and there's going to be a whole lot of stress and stupidity. You know what's coming. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to get stuck into that project for the rest of the year. I've got 13 weeks to get it all done, and I think it's doable. I think I need more time, but I think it's doable. So yeah, that's what's to come. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Tell people about Battle Streams in Middle-earth. Consider joining up to our Patreon scheme. And beyond that, it's been lovely. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you very soon on Battle Streams in Middle-earth, whether here on my next vlog or on one of our live streams. Until then, goodbye.